Hello there. I'm Joe Ruggiero, and welcome to my podcast, Inspired, and the people who inspire me. Well, we've got an interesting audience, live audience with us today. Let's hear your hands clap. Oh, that's good. The ladies of the chorus. But I think this is going to be a preview of coming attractions because you had suggested that we do a live audience now and then, and I think it's a good idea. So.
Well, thank you so much. Hello, everybody. Benjamin Gottlieb back here. And yeah, Joe, I think people really, there's something about this show that really resonates with folks. And there's no reason why we shouldn't be recording these in front of a live audience, because that adds an additional element, I think, to not just these conversations, but what you can do in your message, which is the inspiration of people wherever they are in their lives.
Right. And I think that that's what the basis of this programming is. And thanks to you for making it happen. And thanks to your grandfather, too, who is going to be a guest.
That's true. And also thanks to the Calabasas Country Club. I mean, you were just remarking about how beautiful it looks today. They've just overseeded the grass, which I can tell. People are out there playing. I'm inside, although it is beautiful inside here at Calabasas, looking at all these festively decorated tables. But really, it's an incredible setting. And historically speaking, so incredible for what you like to do, what you've been talking about on this program. But I think we should maybe start, Joe, if I may, with just the time of year that we're in right now. This is often a celebratory time, a reflective time of year. When you think about the holidays, what do the holidays mean to you and to your family? And how do you use this time of year to either reset yourself or to kind of gear yourself up for the next year?
Well, this is probably going to air after the holidays.
Potentially.
But I have some really wonderful memories. And I think it's because of my parents. My mother really was an interior designer, an entertainer, a decorator, a flower arranger. She had many, many talents. She never got to exercise them. But I look at my daughter or daughters, and they are reliving what she always set out to do, and that's create a beautiful home. Also, at the holidays, she would create a centerpiece, a theme for the Christmas tree. One year we had to have it flocked, and she went out and purchased all colored balls, and they were thematic, sort of watercolors. And she always loved to prepare for the holidays. And then, of course, we celebrated Friday evening. Christmas Eve was when we opened our presents. I guess that was an Italian tradition. And we always had fish. And my father used to cook that fish. And many times he would have caught it and was put in the freezer from our beach house. But
really?
We had it Christmas Eve, yeah.
He'd go and catch the fish off the beach house and prepare it for Christmas.
Exactly. But the thing that was interesting is that we carried down the traditions. And I know you have, too. And the youngest always got to put the star on the tree. And also put the baby Jesus in the manger setting that my mother always set up. And she bought us each a collection of Hummel figures that were done in the nativities theme. Mm-hmm. And they went with us every house that we moved to, cross country, no matter where. And the grandchildren used to love to set the creatures up.
Oh, wow.
In the stable and create a stable. And it was really kind of fun.
And these Hummel figurines were a big deal.
They were. Yeah. And it was started by a nun. And those molds are now destroyed. So they are valuable.
You mentioned your mother,
yeah,
as you often do, and your parents on this program, and that she didn't quite get to live her dream, so to speak. What did you mean by that?
Well, in those days, women didn't seek jobs. They were homemakers, and they raised the children, cooked the meals, and that's why our children now are career women, which I think is fabulous. But, in those days, they didn't. And she was a great fashion person, a great decorator, great entertainer. She loved to cook, much like your grandmother. Those invitations were coveted. And she just loved to do it. And I can remember Christmas Eve. My dad always liked to throw a big party.
Okay.
And there was a couple, Aunt Evelyn. She wasn't really my aunt, but we called her Aunt Evelyn, and Colonel Oliver. He was a colonel in the Army. And he
Colonel
would come,
Oliver, okay.
Colonel Oliver, and he would come in his dress blues.
I'm trying to picture them.
Or, formal wear.
Sure.
And she would always wear a long dress. And to me, it was like magic. She was like the queen was coming to visit, She didn't wear a tiara, but and that was a big deal. And there was always a special invitation to someone who I had never met before. We had one who was a singer. She was sort of the understudy for Doris Day, and she sang with Benny Goodman, I guess.
Okay, wow.
And she was a celebrity. I didn't leave her side for the whole evening. I was just fascinated by her. And of course, she had the blonde hairdo, and she looked like a singer, But it was always special. And then that love for Christmas carried on to when I was in charge of special events for Ethan Allen. And we would do a Christmas each year. One year we did a Christmas in New York. Another time we did Christmas in Washington, D.C. And that's when I became enamored with the tradition of Santa Lucia, who was the woman who wore the candles in her hair. And they would sing Santa Lucia. And I remember being at the Swedish Embassy and watching the tableau. And it was a very, very impactful evening. I'll never forget it.
So when it comes to designing for Christmas, something that you've done, you said at Ethan Allen, you were running special events for them. And then just in general, Christmas has such an aesthetic. It's almost cliche for me to say that, but I mean, there's very common traditional things you see with every Christmas setup. I mean, we're here in the annex or the side room, the adjacent room of the Calabasas Country Club. And this is exactly how I would imagine this room to be set up before I even came here today. I knew there'd be a Christmas tree with lights. I knew there'd be some sort of red tablecloth. There'd be some, Christmas-themed table setting. For you as a designer, do you embrace the tropes of Christmas? I mean, what is it about Christmas that is, I would say, exciting for you to think about in terms of design, or maybe not as exciting?
Well, my wife also was brought up in a household that celebrated the season. And her dad, they used to call him Mr. Christmas because he was so enamored with it. And he would always have to have a blue spruce live tree in their home. And it was in Connecticut.
Live tree, so like in a pot, like in dirt?
In a dirt. And then they would plant it. But I always had a live tree. And now that we have a small apartment in a special assisted living residence, I have 2 little tiny trees. And I used to decorate for Christmas. I mean, there was always fresh greenery all over the place. And that's the way we, celebrate it. But tell me about your traditions with Hanukkah.
Oh, sure. I mean, Hanukkah. It's so funny. Hanukkah is, if you look at it in the scheme of the most important Jewish holidays, it's really down the ladder. It's not one of the more important holidays. I think it's like 6th or 7th, which is surprising to folks who don't know much about it because it's the holiday that happens around Christmas, right? So I think, growing up there, especially here in Los Angeles, there's an elevation of Hanukkah as a big holiday because of Christmas. And you don't want to make the large, sizable Jewish community in LA feel left out during the Christmas time without it. So Hanukkah is not a major Jewish holiday, but it is a really powerful story, the story of Hanukkah. And I'm putting on my rabbi hat, which my mother would be so happy that I'm doing. Oh my God, I'm sure if she listens to this, she'll just be geeking out. But the story of Hanukkah is really one of overcoming insurmountable odds and of miracles, right? I'm not going to sit here and preach the story, but there's a couple things that happen in the story of Hanukkah. The Jewish community, the Maccabees as they're called, they win a big victory over a much superior, stronger army, a Greek army. And they go to the temple and find out they only have enough oil to light the candles in the temple for one night. The miracle of Hanukkah is that it lasts 8 nights. So that's the miracle that we're told as kids. But really, the message of bringing light in dark times, coming together, being a light in the world, these are concepts as a Jewish person that really resonate with me. At my house, this was a couple weeks ago, I dropped my daughter off at my parents' house, and my mother did what she did with me, with my daughter, decorating for Hanukkah, putting up the menorah, the Hanukkah lights. But I'll tell you this, I wasn't very envious necessarily of my friends who only celebrated Christmas, because we would celebrate Christmas at my grandparents' house.
That's right.
We'd go over there, and I think part of that for them, and I'm rambling a little bit, but part of that for them was Christmas wasn't so much a religious holiday for my grandparents. It was more of a American holiday. And, this is a predominantly Christian nation, so it's no secret that Christmas is a big deal in the United States. And just like my wife, who grew up in an immigrant household, they celebrated Christmas, even though they weren't Christian, because it was part of what people do in the United States. So the holidays for me were always kind of a double whammy. I got the best of both worlds, I would say.
Well, I would say so. But I learned more about Hanukkah than Renee taught me.
You mean Renee? Come on, Renee. Gotta help Joe up.
But it's interesting about the oil.
Yes.
I didn't know that. And then interesting also about Santa Lucia. And in Italy, she's referred to as Santa Lucia. And I always wondered why the Scandinavians and the Italians celebrated the same feast day. But I think it's the idea of bringing light, because Santa Lucia was known of feeding the Christians in the catacombs.
Right.
And she had no light, and there was no light to see. So that's why she would wear these candles in her hair.
Interesting. Well, I don't want to come off as an apostate to anyone here who is very religious, and I don't mean to be that way, but a lot of these traditions are borrowed. And you've had guests on this program who who was the guest we had who liked to, she would design or make art with found objects?
Oh, that was Allison.
Okay, so Allison.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things in modern Christmas traditions that are borrowed, and we know this, right? The Christmas tree has nothing to do necessarily with the life of Jesus Christ. I'm not going on a limb by saying that. These are borrowed from the Scandinavian, Germanic tribes that would have that would have festivals at around the winter solstice, right?
They still do.
Exactly. So and the reason I bring that up is not to be controversial, but to say that a lot of these traditions, they build off each other. Right. And I think it's a great example of how, we can incorporate so many things from so many different traditions into our own celebration. And we're not, that proves that there's more that we have in common, I think, than we don't. Right?
Well, I wish that you could preach that to the world. The current Pope is a graduate of the same school I went to. He graduated in 1977.
Isn't that remarkable? We have an American Pope?
Yeah. Villanova University.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we're waiting for him to do a special event at Villanova. And it hasn't happened yet, but it's going to happen, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But did you actually make latkes? Where did latkes come from?
Oh, yes. Latkes. I mean, I've already made latkes twice this year. I love latkes. My daughter and I made them together. We grounded the potatoes this last week. We fried them up. Yeah, I mean, it's a integral part of Hanukkah is having. I mean, who doesn't like? Well, why? I mean, there's lots of interpretations why. Really, the real reason is it's that tradition comes from Eastern Europe, right? And so there's a lot of food that has been considered Jewish food, and really, it's food developed in Eastern Europe hundreds of years ago. But if you go to Jewish communities all over the world, those from Morocco or from Iran, from Yemen, from different parts of the Middle East, for example, they have different food traditions. I think in Los Angeles in particular, and in the United States, most of our exposure to Jewry is Ashkenazi Jews. There's big immigrations before the Second World War, and we didn't have as many of that immigration from the Middle East until after the foundation of the State of Israel. So when you think about Jewish traditions, you think mostly about Ashkenazi traditions, Eastern European traditions. It's the same thing with kugel, for example, which we would eat on Rosh Hashanah or Passover.
Right.
It's a sweet pasta dish. That's an Eastern European adaptation that became popular amongst Jews. I mean, you can add meaning to things. I think Jewish. It's very common to do that. You can say, well, the oil is reminiscent of the oil that's used to light the candles after the first temple was destroyed. But really, it's like a comfort food. Why did your father make fish for Christmas?
The tradition of 7 fishes, I guess.
Right.
And he would have lobster and shrimp. I don't think we ever approached 7, but he came very close.
Tell me, what's the tradition of 7 fishes? I have no idea.
I don't know. Well, see, Friday, you couldn't eat meat, and that was
because what?
I don't know.
Right. Dan, do you know why? No, we don't know. Right.
If anyone does, please let us know.
Let us know in the comments section. Ben and Joe want to know why you can't have meat on Friday. Yeah, I think. What ends up happening, Joe, and similar to what you described about decorating the house for Christmas with your family and your mother, these things start to become not just like things that you do because you do them, but there's like emotional attachment to them. And so in my mind, I can picture making latkes with my mother and then making latkes with my father's mother, my booby, my grandmother. And, we would watch the same Hanukkah tapes on VHS at her house for Hanukkah. There was a tape I loved called Bubby's Boarding House, and it was one about Hanukkah. And there's a really great tradition in Judaism, or a concept I should say, called Lador Vador, from generation to generation. And it's what binds us across not just decades, but centuries and millennia, where you can go ahead and walk into a temple today for Shabbat, or maybe even for Hanukkah, if you so choose. And if this was 500 years ago, you would kind of know what was going on, which is incredible, right? Because these traditions are passed down from generation to generation. So there's something really special about doing something with my daughter that my grandparents have done and that their grandparents have done and that folks in my family lineage I don't even know have done.
Right.
And that's really powerful, I think.
Well, I think traditions, not to borrow from the show and
traditions from Fiddler on the Roof.
Right, exactly. But I
want to hear your rendition of that, by the way. You're going to sing it for
But I think that tradition has always been very powerful in the Italian community. And I think that I have a picture of my father when he was 9 years old and first came to this country. And there was magic in his eyes.
Sure.
You could just see he had come to a new land. And the things that he brought with him, which are traditions he was a Calabria, but although he was born in Stromboli. And the only reason is that my grandmother was on a vacation in the Aeolian Islands, I guess.
Yeah.
And she said, "Stop the ship. I'm going to have this baby." And she happened to be in Stromboli.
Oh, my God.
And that's where he was born.
That's where he was born.
But he was a Calabrian and from a Calabrian family. And that was a beach community. And that's why he loved the ocean, loved fish, fresh fish, loved to go fishing. And that tradition was brought to Christmas Eve when we opened our presents. And then Christmas morning, which is what my wife celebrated because Santa came down the chimney.
Sure, of course.
But for, I don't know, some reason, and maybe our audience can tell us why, Christmas Eve was celebrated in an Italian household. Interesting.
Well, you just couldn't wait to open the presents, maybe. That's why.
No. Well, like that too.
Well, tradition is an interesting thing to talk about because I would imagine, especially as a designer in your career, you often are probably coming up against this idea of pushing the boundaries of something, right? Like trying to explore something new and the traditional way of something being, right? I mean, we look at Christmas designs in general. These designs are from Europe. Right. And mostly Northern Europe, where it's colder. We have snow, right? We have pine trees. I mean, look at Los Angeles right now. It's the middle of December. Does this look like how Europeans celebrate Christmas? Not at all.
No, but it has a charm in itself. I can remember swimming on Christmas Day in California, and there's a certain magic. I don't know if it's the twinkle of the sunshine reflecting on the waters, but it's refreshing. Although I do miss, and we did go the week before Christmas because it was cheaper. Don't tell anybody. But we would go to Vail or Deer Valley.
Sure.
And the kids love to ski,
Deer Valley, yeah.
So it's really kind of fun.
Yeah.
And they saw snow.
How was your skiing?
Okay. I worked for CBS Sports.
Right.
And I covered many of the ski events. And they would always have me at the starting gate on the top of the hill.
Didn't have you skiing down with the
No,
athletes doing the live interviews, right?
Jean-Claude Keely. No, not at all.
But you would say, I mean, is there when you're designing for Christmas in California, is it different than doing so on the East Coast?
Well, there are different, you use dried materials rather than fresh greens.
Right.
And boxwood sometimes because it doesn't drip as much. But there's something about the aroma of fresh greens in a room. You just can't beat that.
Yeah.
And of course, sharing with friends. But I can remember one of my daughter's dates once.
Uh-oh.
His mother got mad at the family for some reason, and she said Christmas has been canceled this year.
Wow.
So they all wound up at my house.
That's a big deal.
And I said to my wife, whispering, who are these people sitting at our table? Because we used to have like 25 to 30 people for Christmas. And that's the giving and the joy of being able to celebrate it. Not to stress, don't stress, but enjoy the season. Enjoy the love of friends and family and having a good meal, good cheer.
Sure.
Although we used to have our neighbors over for Christmas cheer, and I used to make an eggnog that would bury you. I'm sorry to say, but
That sounds great.
No,
Did you bring
well,
some?
I made it.
Do you have some? Do you have some right now?
No,
Okay.
no.
We
But
could-
maybe they have it at the bar.
Oh, there we go. We should probably order some for the next. We could see how.
I hope you're going to stay for lunch.
we could see how the next interviews go, and how the eggnog affects your interviewing skills. What do you think?
Well, whatever. Does our audience have any questions?
That's a good question. Y'all have any questions for Joe? We're sitting here, audience. They're looking at us. Well, while they're thinking, because I'm putting them on the spot. What role did church play for you during Christmas? Curious.
Very, very important. I went to 8 years of Catholic school, and I had a great experience with the nuns because they were the ones that saw my creativity and encouraged it. And I can remember being taken out of Mass and by Sister Concordia, I'll never forget her name, because she wanted me to draw a ship. She had seen my drawings, and they were having open house, and she wanted me to draw it. And I thought that was the most wonderful thing in the world. And it was the first time that I was ever encouraged, other than by my family, to pursue creativity.
Wow.
And so I was very impressed by that. But there was something about church that, of course, the choir and the musicians, and that's a thing about California that I loved, because you have so many talented musicians and talented singers that going to a church service here was a much different experience than back east.
Really?
Yeah, because you have all this talent. And they used to do a Christmas concert. And then, of course, at Mass, there was wonderful voices singing.
Sure.
And I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
Never forget it.
Ladies, any questions for Joe? He's right here. You can yell him out.
No, they don't have any.
Who needs to ask you anything?
It's a very loyal audience.
No gotcha questions.
Right.
Well, Joe, why don't we take it out this way, and then we'll get ready for the next slate of interviews. What's your message for your fans and family and friends who are listening to the show? What's your message to them this holiday season?
Well, witnessed a gentleman who gave a message that really resonated with me. And that was, we get so tied up about presents and, oh, this person, and we have to remember that person and this and that, which we do. We have to. But take the time to reflect. Maybe it's my age speaking, but I think it's so important that we celebrate the season in love and, as you mentioned, light. Bringing light to people, bringing love, companionship, friendship, and don't forget the little children who are in awe of this season. And I think that message resonates with me. Slow down and spread joy and be kind.
Well, I love that message. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention, especially for the Jewish community, this week has been particularly hard after the events in Sydney, Australia. And I was so struck. I mean, it's been a tough week to work for me just in general, but I was so struck by an incredible scene I saw in the news of not just Jews, but community members all across Sydney. They did a paddle out in the ocean off of Bondi Beach, which is basically hop on your board or your kayak, you paddle out into the ocean. And it's silly and it's small, but they made a heart, a big, I'll show you the photograph, made a big heart in the ocean, just them set up together. And it's the right message, it's the right message. We can't let and I believe this to my core, the very, very small amount of evil that exists in this world. We can't let that consume us. Because
right.
I would say 99.9% of people are the same, regardless of who they are in their faith. They want to love their families. They're good people. They want to help people. And we have this evil element. And, the one thing that darkness can't get rid of is light.
That's right.
And that's maybe being liberal with the story of Hanukkah, but it's a moment to remember that if you bring light wherever you go, if you want to approach it from a Christmas angle, that cheer, that spirit wherever you go, that has a huge impact.
Well, I'd like to say I've lost 2 sisters this past week.
This past week?
Yeah.
Oh, John,
9 days apart. And they lived a fabulous life. One was 91 and the other was 98.
Wow.
And I was the youngest of 5 children. And I have no regrets because I love them. I enjoyed them. We had laughs together. We had good times together. And I always told them how much I loved them. So as a baby of the family, of course, I was a spoiled brat, I guess. I don't know. But I'd like to dedicate this particular show to my 2 sisters who taught me a lot about life and love.
And their names, Joe? I didn't know their names.
Nancy. And Mellory.
And Mellory?
Mellory. And the reason she was Mellory, she was named Carmela Marie, but my brother couldn't pronounce it, so he called her Mellory.
Mellory. And Nancy.
So it's a unique name.
Yeah.
Unique name.
My goodness. Well, it sounds like they lived long, fulfilling lives, but I mean, my condolences to you, Joe. That's a tough way to ring in the holidays, for sure.
I thank you very much, but there's something about, we all loved the holidays, and growing up in a family of 5, especially, and being the youngest of the 5, I learned a lot from my sisters and my brother as well. So thank you.
Well, a message, and thank you, Joe, a message for those who are listening. Joe Ruggiero Inspired is coming back in 2026 with a whole new slate of guests. Joe remains inspired by all of you who continue to listen to him and support this program. If you're interested in doing more to help Joe, to support his podcast, please reach out to us. You can check out Joe Ruggiero Inspired wherever you get your podcasts. That's on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, you name it. And Joe, I wish you and your family a very, very healthy and happy and fulfilling holidays.
Thank you. Thank you.